explore how decent work contributes to social justice in Ghana. We will analyze employment laws, wage fairness, job security, and workers' rights, while also identifying key solutions to bridge gaps in labor justice. Now, many workers, especially in the informal sector, face low wages, unfair treatment, and job insecurity. Now, what can be done to ensure fair employment for all? To help us understand this issue, we have Nana Madina Ibrahim, an employment and labor law expert, who will share insights on Ghana's labor law, wage policies, and fair work practices. She's in studio with me here to have this conversation, and so let me bring her in right away. Do I call you Madina, Nana, or which of them do you
Which
want?
one do you prefer? But I'm mostly called Madina.
Madina, so we should do Madina.
I think Madina is cool.
Right, so
Yeah.
we'll do Madina. Now, a lot of people, I mean, when I showed the flyer to somebody, hey, somebody called Madina.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, tell us about it.
I get that a lot, but it's actually a Muslim name.
Mm.
Yeah, so the full name is Madina Munawwara. It is long and quite heavy.
Mm.
So it's either you use Madina or you use Munawwara.
Okay.
And so I guess my family wanted the easier way.
Route,
And so they gave me Madina.
Madina.
Quite cool.
Okay, so not the Madina we know.
No, but you can relate it to Saudi Arabia. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not Ghana Madina.
No, please.
Very interesting. You're most welcome.
Thank you.
Now tell us
Thank you.
briefly about your background and experience in employment and labor law.
I'd say that it all started 6 years ago. So I'm basically my 6th year when it comes to employment and labor relations in
Wow.
Ghana. I currently work with an institution that handles labor disputes in the country. I'm not going to mention the name yet,
Okay, no
probably
problem.
next time.
No problem.
And so, yeah, that's where the interest started.
Mm.
I didn't really know anything about labor until I joined our institution.
Okay.
And since then, I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. It's quite interesting that most people do not know their rights as workers and even their rights as employers. It's amazing. These are easy snippets of information you can just find easily on the online or just ask someone.
Right.
And then you know what your rights are to aid you at your workplace. And so basically that's it. I'm in my seat here and I'm so excited about it. I'm currently an HR practitioner.
Oh, you're an HR too?
Yes, HR practitioner. And so, yeah, when you talk about labor and how to manage people, let's see. I think I have few graphs on it.
Right.
So, yeah, that's all about me.
Very interesting. I was about to guess your workplace, but I don't want to
Don't do
commit
it.
any blunder.
Well, not yet. I mean, if the need arises, why not?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's begin by defining decent work. This morning we're trying to bring both of them together: decent work and social justice. Let's start by defining decent work. What does decent work really mean in the Ghanaian context, and why is this essential for social justice?
I realize I didn't even greet your listeners. Good morning. So, when it comes to decent work, all we are saying is that we want to ensure that there's fairness. We want to ensure that there is fair wage policies.
Right.
We want to ensure that there is protection of workers' rights. We want to ensure that there is equal opportunity for workers at the workplace. And so when we talk about social justice anywhere, it's just about protection of people's rights. In this case, we are relating it to labor. And so we are saying that workers' rights needs to be protected, devoid of, regardless of your ethnicity, your background, your color, your race. We don't want any biases at the workplace. We want safe working conditions. And so basically that is it. When we talk about social justice liaising to decent work, we want good working conditions. I don't think they should be hard for any employer.
Why is it really essential?
It is
to social justice, the decent work?
It is essential because when I'm paid well, I get to put in my best at work.
Okay.
When I put in my best at work, I'm happy. Employers are happy. Indirectly, the country or economic stability is sustained and maintained.
Okay.
And so that is why it is important to always maintain decent work. It will ultimately lead to, social justice. Social justice is all about ensuring that there's fairness everywhere.
Okay.
Basically.
Right. Now, how does employment quality, how does it impact economic inequality in Ghana?
Inequality is not something we should even be proud of. I feel like as an employer, it is your right to ensure that employees are well protected, to ensure that they have safe working conditions. When I feel like I am giving fair wages, when I feel like I am giving equal opportunities, I feel that my rights are protected. It ensures that economic stability is covered, my poverty rate reduces actually. And when it reduces, I'm happy. It reduces the inequality levels in the country. It reduces the unfairness everywhere I find myself. I feel like we are not even educating ourselves enough. People are not aware. People hear that there's some sort of labor act somewhere, but they don't even know what it's about. They don't even know whether it's covered them or even if it covers them, what aspects of their work does it cover? Employers are not aware. Even if they are aware, we don't have enforcement policies that ensures that, you know what, if you don't do the right thing, these are the sanctions that are available for you. And so I feel like it is important that we have decent work. It will go a long way to reduce inequalities at the workplace. Inequalities anywhere, actually. Inequalities even in the country. When workers are happy, people are happy, families are happy. And it will help, economic stability.
And what is the effect, or what are the effects of the ignorance of such employment policies and all of that, labor policies and things that you mentioned?
Labor exploitation. You'll be exploited. You're not aware. Employer knows what he's doing, but you don't know that what he's doing is illegal. So he will exploit you. We also have labor unrest. You've heard of strikes. People just go on strike thinking that it's their right to just go on strike. That is on the side of the employer. The employer doesn't know that it is not everything that the employee can just say, I'm going on strike. The employer doesn't even know some of his rights that protects him if an employee goes on strike. And so these are some of the, challenges that it poses. It's all about getting the right information on your rights on labor matters. And it is so easy. We have the Labor Act 2003 at 651. It is easily available online. We also have the Labor Department. You can always call on them, go to them. I think the challenge we face a lot as a country is the enforcement strategies. We have the legal framework. We have the structures, but we don't have enforcement strategies. I feel like the government agencies need to be well resourced. Labor Department is in charge of going about inspecting companies just, without them knowing, bouncing on them to see that if they are following the labor laws. But then they are not well resourced. So how can they do it? Imagine we have a whole region, just one labor department in the whole region. Look at the informal works that are there. Do you think they can be able to do their duties diligently? No. And so I think that I call on government to put in more tighter, stronger enforcement policies.
So when we talk about the state of labor rights in Ghana, you think that we are not doing much?
We've started with this conversation, at least. We are going somewhere, but we can do better. We can do better. We need to I will keep saying education. Educate them on who are them? The workers. Educate them on their rights. Educate them on their duties.
Who should do the education?
Policy makers, employers, even union reps, all these people. Anybody, ADR practitioners, me, HR practitioners, anybody who has in-depth knowledge when it comes to labor. Don't sit on it, and don't wait to be called upon. You can start wherever you are. These are people that are being exploited, but they don't know. Decent work is important. This is a conversation we should be having every single day. Now, look, people call me sometimes and be like, I have lost my job. I've been dismissed. I've been terminated. And they don't even know where to go or what to do. They don't even know what to do. I'm like, oh my goodness. The first thing to do if you lose your job, of course, you should speak to HR. Ask them, what have I done? Follow dispute resolution procedures right internally. They don't even know. And then they go home and sit. Even if you're not able to follow dispute resolution internally, or it doesn't work, if you follow it doesn't work, you have union. Try your unions. Why am I even saying unions? Informal workers don't even know what unions are.
Exactly.
They don't even know what unions are. People have no idea. They want to fight for their rights, but they are alone. And they fear employer retaliation. You know that is meant to happen. They are scared of job insecurity. They might lose their job. They might lose certain benefits. are they even getting the benefit in the same
in the first place?
In the first place, it's a lot. This discussion needs to be broadened.
And I see how passionate you are about this particular subject matter, because I dare say that we just spoke yesterday and you are here today.
You know,
that tells me how passionate you are.
About another day.
Very, very passionate about.
Yeah.
But which groups in Ghana are most affected by job insecurity?
Informal sector. Informal sector. I mean, lately we can see the formal sector. Did you say job insecurity?
Yeah, job insecurity,
informal sector.
And unfair wages?
I would say that it used to be informal sector, but now the formal sector is also facing challenges when it comes to job fair wage disparities. It's amazing. I think we spoke about it yesterday, about the Ghana Statistical Service
Reports,
I read about it, and it is not far from the truth. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I'm in HR and I see it. I mean, can you imagine the highest paid in the public sector takes 81 times more than the lowest paid? That means there's someone in the public sector that earns less than 500 Ghana cedi in this economy with all these inflation rates. Just imagine you are living with someone in the same house, paying the same rent, paying the same utility bill, but you are taking 50 times more than what the person is taking. You're all in the public sector. It is quite unfortunate. Quite unfortunate. And I read deeper, and the funny thing is that it doesn't really matter. We can all have the same qualification, but then you'll be taken higher just because what's age difference, or just because you're in a different region, I'm in a different region, or because you're in a different government institution, and I'm also in a different government institution. Can you imagine? The reasons for this wage disparity in the formal sector is really, I mean, it surprises me. Why should we have these as reasons? I thought a single spine salary actually came to help us, but honestly, we should be looking at restructuring it. We need help in the formal sector, but I mean, that's another topic.
But why do you think that these groups of people suffer this job insecurity? And I want you to take one after the other if you can.
Sure. In the formal sector.
You mentioned the formal sector. You also mentioned the informal sector.
Good. So when it comes to the informal sector, job insecurity, of course, is number one. And one is because they do not know their rights as workers.
So the lack of knowledge?
Lack of knowledge. And what can we do to help them? Education.
Okay.
I mean, policymakers should start. Let's start implementing education policies. Let's start. Why don't we allow the Labor Department to go to them and educate them? Because that is part of the duties of the Labor Department. Right. Go to them and educate them. But they can't do it because they are not well-resourced. And so I feel like they need to be educated, number one. Also, the union. I mean, we have so many unions, but I feel like the unions are only working for formal sector. Informal sectors can also be part of the union. Why don't we broaden our collective bargaining certificates to affect the informal sector? We have contract workers. They don't have the right to form a union just because they are contract workers. Why? They don't receive their benefits, health insurance, nothing. Severance pay, nothing. Paid leave, they don't even experience their own paid leave. Can you imagine? And they don't know. Not that they know, but they don't even know how to go about it. They don't know. They don't even know that as a worker, I'm supposed to rest. And I'm supposed to be paid for resting. They don't know that. Maternity leave, you take it, wahala. I'm scared to go on maternity leave because when I come back, I might lose my job. These are the things you hear. And it's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate.
And so they face all this. Formal sector, we thought we had it all. We thought we had it all. We thought we had it all until we realized that the wage disparity is crazy. It's crazy. Imagine you taking less than 2,500 Ghana cedi in this economy. What do you think it can do for you? It's not me. It could, look, when it comes to Ghana, decent work is three things. When we say decent work in Ghana, one, we're talking about pay me well, linking to economic stability. Number two, I want to reduce poverty in my family. And number three, I want you to protect my rights. That is it. And so the rights of workers is a challenge if you are not informed. If you don't know what you are doing, you need to know your rights as a worker. I also don't want to be like I'm focusing more on workers.
Workers, yeah.
Employers are also covered under the Labor Act.
Right.
Employers should also know their rights so that it makes it easy. When it comes to labor, we don't have anything like a win or lose situation. We don't have anything like you are cheating me, I'm cheating you. That's not how the law works. The law is in place to have a win-win situation.
Okay.
Yes, talk to me. let's have a dialogue. Talk to me. What are your needs? Okay, you know what? I've looked at my business. These are the things I can also do for you.
Okay.
Win-win situation. But when you keep cheating one person or the other person keep cheating you, then we'll always have labor unrest. That's what brings about labor unrest, and that is strike, which is unfortunate. Yeah.
Well, we are 11 after 9, and this is Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM with me, Nitrebi Hammond. If you just tuned in, we are talking about decent work and social justice here in Ghana. And I have in studio with me Nana Madina Ibrahim, who is an employment and labor law expert, and she's making us understand a few things. So far, we've just tried to understand what decent work really is, and also how employment quality impacts economic inequality in Ghana. And she's also highlighted some of the challenges, some of the issues, and major amongst them is the lack of knowledge in the labor laws, the things that are supposed to guide our work as a people. And she's mentioned the national earnings the earnings inequality reports, and I'm going to run you through a few of the things in there just so that you can provide some context, and then we advance into the conversation a bit more. But you can join the conversation on 0544321019, 0544321019. You can WhatsApp us on that. If you have concerns, you have questions, you have any inputs to make, you can just WhatsApp us there. And you can as well comment on our social media platforms. We are live on Facebook at ZFMGH, and also on Instagram and X at ZFMGH, and we are also streaming live on YouTube at Z Multimedia. Feel free to engage us and let's have a good conversation. Now, we're going to get into the conversation, but just before that, I want to run you through a few of the highlights in the earnings inequality report 2024. Now, the very first one is that it indicates a national earnings inequality, and the average monthly net salary of public sector employees is 2,594 cedis. The average monthly salary is 2,594 cedis, and then the highest paid earner takes home 33,855 Ghana cedis. In public sector, we're talking about public sector. 33,000, the highest paid worker in our public sector in Ghana takes home 33,855 Ghana cedis, which is 81 times the salary of the lowest paid worker. 81 times. Look at the gross inequality. 81 times. And I don't want to make this a presentation. As and when you want to say something, feel free and prompt me. Let you go ahead and say it. 81 times. So that means that that person's the person who is taking the 855,000 cedis, that person's salary can pay 81 people in the company if they are paying the lowest paid group. This is crazy.
It is.
So that means that the person earns 418 cedis, not even up to 500 cedis. 418 cedis. The lowest paid worker in the public sector in Ghana earns 418 cedis, and the highest paid earner earns 33,855 Ghana cedis. Now, also another thing in the report is that the top 10% of employees earn 22% of the total net salaries, while half of employees earn only 1/3 of the total net salaries. The top 10% of employees earn 22%. So when we take 100%, when we put 100% down, or let's say we put 100 cedis down as something we are paying salaries with, only 10%, only 10 people take a whopping 22%, while half of the employees only earn 1/3. This is crazy.
And this is in the formal sector. Oh my goodness.
This is crazy.
It's crazy.
This is crazy. This is gross inequality.
It is crazy.
Gross inequality.
Did you see the reasons they gave? Reasons for this wage disparities? I mean, you didn't. I mean, I'm sure you should find it there. They are saying that it's because of some regional, differences. They're also saying that it's because of government institution differences, meaning some government institutions pay higher
than some.
Yes. And so if I'm an auditor with a master's degree in government A, and the same auditor in another, you'll be taking higher than that person, just because you find yourself in a different government institution. And so
for instance, if I work in Ministry of Finance,
yes,
and I'm an auditor,
so let's just say they pay more, and so your salary will be maybe 2 times higher than someone at the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations, which is not fair.
You're auditors,
same level, but just because I find myself in a different institution, public institution, and so I'll be paying more, I'm paid better, which is not fair.
It's not fair.
You see, so I feel like we should have a structure, a structure that governs that, what, if you are a level A or level B in this government institution, the same level B in a different government institution, you all should receive the same. We reduce the inequality indirectly. We should have a good pay structure. In fact, we should have a pay structure that goes with inflation rates. When inflation rate increases, our pay should automatically also increase to match with it. Why should we have... There's also another one. They are saying that some regions are being paid more.
Yeah.
Just because you are being paid more, just because you find yourself in a different region. So we can be in the same company, in the same government institution, but because I find myself in Greater Accra, I get more. And you find yourself in Tamale. And that is the truth. It is the northern sector that suffers. I saw it. They said up northeast or somewhere, they are being paid less. 2,000
cedis or so.
The funny thing is that it doesn't even end there. It even says that the men in the northern region are paid higher than the women. What is happening? What is happening? What is happening to equality? What is happening to equal opportunities? What is happening to equal value for work of? Paying the same value for the work I'm giving.
And the men issue is across all the 16 regions.
It's crazy.
It's not even based on
Why should that be so? I saw it and I was asking myself, why? Is there a reason? Perhaps there's a reason. I was trying to analyze what could be the reason. Why? Is it because the men are the heads of the family? What is happening?
It's crazy. It's crazy. Let me just run us through that. Just the gender pay gap, just because we mentioned it. So men earn more than women in all 16 regions. According to the report, the average male salary is 2,669. While the average female salary is 2,504, resulting in 6% gender pay gap. And the largest gap is in the Upper West region, where men earn 348 Ghana cedis more than women, 13% gap.
Yeah.
Why should this be so? Why should this be so? The smallest gap is about 5%, and it's in Central region, 5%. So if the difference is 124 cedis. I don't want to.
I hope the newly appointed regional ministers are listening.
They should do something. They should do something about some of these things.
Yeah.
The issues are serious. Now, even by age and experience, salaries increase with age. So the peak of the salary is when you are in your 50s to 60s, Charlie, your salary is correct.
That is the
if you are younger, oh, forget.
I think automatically, even with the age, I didn't really have an issue because experience counts, and of course I came into the institution before you, so of course I'll earn more, but then it shouldn't be too much. What are we looking at? If you're looking at the singles, now I know, or I'm aware that not every government institution is on the single spine salary, and so those on the single spine salary are really struggling. It is not fair at all. Something should be done about that salary structure.
Right. I don't want us to spend too much time on the report, but of course the report only signifies the fact that there's a lot of work to be done in our employment space. All right, but let's get back into the conversation now. What key labor laws in Ghana protect workers' rights?
Labor Act. We have a lot of legal frameworks, but I'll start with the Labor Act.
Sure, run us through them.
Act 651 2003, easily accessible on the internet. And we also have legal instruments, that's the legislative instruments. We have the Workmen's Compensation. We have even the Domestic Workers Act. We have so many legal frameworks that protect us. But I think that we should all stick to for the purpose of rights or protection of rights of workers. The Ghana Labor Act spills or protects workers' rights. And so we have a lot. It's just that the only issue we face is enforcement mechanisms. Who is checking the policy user, who is checking the employer, who is making sure that the employer is going by what the Labour Act says, who is also checking if the employee is also doing, because in the Labour Act, it spells out your rights, duties as an employer, your right duties as an employee. But are you going by it? That is the issue. And so we have the legal system. We have the legal framework.
But are they strong enough? Or do you think we need some reforms?
We need, of course, we need reforms, because now there are new employment, we call kinds of employment. We call them the gig economy. You know, digital economy. It is booming. If you ask any labor expert, they will tell you that the Labour Act covers every worker. But me, with the information I've learned, I think that the Labour Act need new reforms to include those new or digital workers. They are suffering. Look at a boat driver. A boat driver is not protected under the Labour Act. But then you ask someone, an expert, you ask the OGs. When I say the OGs, those who implemented the labour laws back then, they'll tell you that it covers everybody. They will tell you it covers everybody. But then you and I know it doesn't cover them.
So you're calling for reforms?
Yes, I'm calling for reforms. I mean, we need new legal frameworks that covers this new sector, this new employment sector. It is actually booming. They contribute a lot to the economy, but they are not protected. They can lose their job at any time. They are not protected. They don't even have any benefits. They don't even go on leave. They don't even know what leave means. And you can't even begin to have that conversation. They don't even have simple rights of joining a union. They can't, because they are scared of employer retaliation. They can't do that. And so, of course, in my opinion, I'll call for new reforms to cover those sectors. But I know, I've had that conversation before. I know that people have different opinions to it. The OGs, they are saying that the labor law is good. But I belong to those that say that we need new reforms to cover those new forms of employment.
Now, we all know about the minimum wage policy. How effective is minimum wage policy as a country in ensuring fair pay?
Unfortunately, I can't say that it is effective. And of course, the informal sector suffers again. You see people being paid less than the minimum wage. How do you expect them to survive in this economy? It is not effective. Again, it boils down to who is watching. It boils down to enforcement policies, enforcement mechanism. Who is making sure that employers are paying the right wage for the service they need? Nobody is ensuring that. Don't get me wrong. We have the legal frameworks. We have the structures there, but nobody's ensuring. Why don't we say that, you know what, we'll give you some tax incentives. When you go comply by labor laws, we'll give you tax incentive. When you pay or treat your workers well, we are going to make sure that we give you something.
Right.
Nobody's doing that. And it's not as if nobody seems to care. It's not as if we are even overburdened. We are not having that conversation enough. The workers themselves are scared to talk.
That's true.
They're scared to talk. They can't even say that, you know what. And the funny thing is that if all of them are affected, but nobody wants to speak, and if one person speaks, he fears what? Job. He might lose his job.
Lose their job, yeah.
And so if for that solution, I feel like we need unions in the informal sector.
Now, what legal protections exist against unfair dismissal?
Labour Act comes to the National Labour Commission. But before
they
you
have
do
to
that,
come there. But why can't they just place a call?
Good. But before you do that, the moment you realize that you have been dismissed, what you should do is go to your HR. You have an HR manual. You have your terms of employment. Any terms of employment should come with how you should be released from job. It should come with it. You don't accept an employment without knowing how you come in and how you exit. You need to know. Ask your employer. So what if you wake up one day and dismiss me? What are the remedies available for me? Ask your employer. You need that. Okay, fine, they don't give it to you. Go to your HR. Make sure that you utilize all the dispute resolution policies at the workplace. That is key. But if they don't have it and you have a union, speak to your union reps.
Right.
They should tell you what to do. So let's say you find yourself in a sector where you don't even have all these policies. You don't have a union. You don't have any dispute resolution policies. Come to the National Labour Commission. You can't just call. Come to the National Labour Commission. Come and pick a form. Tell us about what happened.
Is the form free?
Free. Absolutely free. At no cost. And it's not even that. We have our PR team that advises. Listen to you and advise and tell you that, okay, well, you know what, this is what you're supposed to do. And we don't just take a decision like that. We listen to your side and that of the side of the employer as well. What we do is we facilitate. We mediate disputes. That's what we do.
Okay.
And so we don't say that, no, since you came first, then since you are right. No, we don't do that. And you don't only stand up and come. You have to come with your employment details. And so I always advocate that, look, you are jobless, you need a job. But the moment you get it, the first thing you should be looking for, your documents. Keep it. Ask for your terms of employment. Ask for how to enter the organization, how to exit the organization. All these things should be given to you. Don't just say that because I need a job, I've gotten it, so I'm scared to ask. I know that is what is happening there. Again, it boils down to lack of education. People don't know. People don't know their rights as workers. People don't even know that they have the right to protest, to work under safe working conditions. They don't know.
Do you think the Labour Commission should, probably in collaboration with NCCE, engage even graduates that are coming out of school to know some of these things? Right.
Now, one thing with the National Labour Commission is, it is not our duty to... Fine, we can educate, fine, but it's not our duty to go out there to do the education. Right. We can liaise, which is good. It is the duty of the Labour Department.
Okay.
And so there's a difference. Labour Department, they are to go and inspect. Just bounce on you without even knowing that they are coming. To check, are you doing the right thing? Are you complying with the labour laws? What is missing? Those are the things they are supposed to do. Labour Commission, we are just there to settle disputes. Okay. But in fact, we are even going beyond our responsibility. I know that we pay visits to organizations, but then we inform them, and we are not just there to inspect. No, we are there, especially when we notice that there are lots of complaints coming from your organization. We visit you to ask you what is happening. Perhaps you need an education on the Labour Act, so we educate you. We do our best, but we can't do it all if you are not well resourced. It's all about resources. Ghana has the best legal framework when it comes to employment, but then we need resources to let people know, educate them. NCC, I'm sure they'll mention the same thing. They'll say that they need to be well resourced. It is not easy. The informal sector is huge. You have no idea. Informal sector is huge. And if you want to educate them, I mean, you need to have enough resources to educate them. But I always say that information is now so easily accessible.
But these people, there are some people who can't access this information. They when I say disinformation, I wasn't talking about disinformation. Yeah, they can't access them because probably you don't have access to
internet.
Or maybe illiteracy due to illiteracy.
They're not even aware.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that the NCC should rather liaise with the Labour Department. I think that is the institution that can do that. But definitely not the National Labour Commission. We can help, but then our main responsibility is to settle the dispute. And we can't go looking for dispute. We don't want that. So if you bring it, we help you settle the dispute. There's also an alternative of the ADR. People do not know about it. It is fast becoming a reality. Alternative dispute resolution. Seek a third party. You don't necessarily have to come to the National Labour Commission. You don't want government interference, that's fine. Not even government, you don't want labor institution interference. Seek an alternative dispute resolution.
Okay.
You know, a third party, an expert, a mediator will come in and then settle the dispute for you.
Okay.
And for the employees, I think that you should try to join a union. I will always advocate for unions to come. I will always advocate for unions to be part of the informal sector. They should enlarge their scope, broaden their scope, move away from the formal sector and include the informal sector. They are struggling, obviously.
Right. Now, how can employees challenge workplace discrimination?
This issue, it is within your rights. 100% within your rights. Discrimination, you have every right to challenge it, but do it in a conscious manner.
What are some typical examples of discrimination at the workplace?
You don't go for leave. Severance pay, you're not being paid. Sorry, I'm coughing. You don't even have safe working condition. Your own colleague is paid higher, wage disparity, paid higher than you. That is inequality. That is not fair. And so how do you go about this? It is simple. Don't just rush it. If you have a union, that is why union is important. Speak to your union reps. They are more closer to management. Management listen to them easily than you. Imagine you going to speak to your CEO. It's difficult. But then if you through a union leader, it makes it easier. Now, I know that we need good HR structures in place. In the informal sector, Cambodia is worse. They don't even have any HR structure. Even if they have an HR, nobody even listens to the HR. And so I won't say get an HR, no. Put HR structures in place. Conduct periodic HR audits.
Okay.
It will help you know what is missing in your HR structure. It is very important. HR is an important show that people undermine. It's not only about hiring and firing when it comes to HR. Dispute resolution procedure starts with HR. You need to lay down the processes. You as an employee, you need to know who is the first person to go to, or what is the first point of call when there's an issue. When I'm not happy, where do I go to? Start within. Don't just come to... People come to the National Labour Commission, they don't even tell their HR that they are unhappy. HR doesn't know. So you call them and they're like, I didn't know my employees are going through this. And so you have to go back. So why don't you save us the time?
Okay.
Start within. And you don't just go about just talking. Communication is key. It should be a dialogue. I will always advocate for social dialogue, tripartite dialogue, government, employees, employers. All of you come together. Let's talk about how best we can have reforms that will protect us all. Because at the end of the day, we are all suffering. Yeah.
Right. I'm looking at the time because there are a lot of things I'd want us to talk about. Now, how accessible is legal aid for workers facing labor disputes?
In Ghana, easily accessible, just that they don't know it. Easily accessible. Imagine working to a labor commission. Someone called me. He was just terminated. He didn't know what to do. And he didn't even know there was an avenue for such places. He didn't even know. So someone told him about labor commission and then gave him my number. And he called me. I said, oh, come and pick a form and fill. Within 1 month, fine, he didn't get a job back, but he was paid his appropriate entitlement. So imagine he didn't come to the labor commission, he would have just left.
Yeah.
He didn't get his entitlements. He just left like that. He was so excited.
And a lot of people going through same.
Yeah. So imagine. He said he didn't know there was something like this. He didn't pay a dime. And within less than 2 months, he got his entitlements. Everybody, the employers, then when they even hear labor commission, then they get scared. They also don't know that we are even there. Nobody knows. And we have the structures, but nobody knows where to go, who to go to. But Ghana has the structures. It's just that, like I said, enforcement policies, enforcement mechanism is the problem. And so, come to Labour Commission.
So Labour Commission.
Labour Commission settled this.
Everything.
Oh, not only Labour Commission. Of course, you can go to the court. Okay. But then the Labour Commission is, known for labour disputes. Right. So I think it's the appropriate. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned severance pay. What are the legal requirements for that in Ghana?
It's all stipulated in the Labour Act. However, severance pay deals with what is stipulated in also your terms of employment. Just make sure that the terms of employment does not contradict what is in the Labour Act.
Okay.
And so if the Labour Act says that the person is entitled to 1 month's salary for working for 10 years, and then you said, I'll give you 2 weeks, that is a no-no. I don't know if you are getting what I'm trying to say. So if the labor law says that you are giving the person 1 month for working for 10 years, severance pay, you've written your retirement, you are going. So we are saying that we'll give you 1 month in the Labour Act. And then you are saying you give the person 2 weeks for working for you for 10 years. That is illegal.
Okay.
However, if you state that we'll give you 2 months for working with us for 10 years, even though the Labour Act says 1 month, it is acceptable.
Right.
And so you see that if it is higher than what the minimum requirement is, we accept it, but it shouldn't go below. So severance payments or severance benefit deals with whatever you have agreed with your employer.
Okay.
At the times of employment, or during the time of employment, or at the end of employment. But not necessarily what we have stated. We are saying that it should just not go beyond, below what the Labour Act has stated. Basically, that's it.
Right. Okay. Let's move on. Now, we've highlighted a lot of the challenges, employment challenges that we are faced, with in Ghana, and I want us to talk about finding jobs. Now, why do young graduates struggle to find jobs, to find decent jobs?
Wow. Even the whole country is facing, high unemployment. But I think that, of course, we do not know the right avenues to check. Now, with my research, I know that the Youth Employment Agency is there, and you can go on their website. But perhaps you do not want that kind of job. And perhaps you haven't studied what the current market needs. We should also factor that.
Right.
I'm sure that people are saying that the marketing industry is oversaturated. But yes, still you find people going to study marketing. You come out, you get a marketing job, but you're like, you don't want this particular marketing job. Perhaps you haven't studied what the current market needs.
Okay.
Have you also thought of agriculture? It is one sector that is booming. We can also talk about entrepreneurship, even though I know entrepreneurship is not for everyone. But it is an aspect we can also exploit. And so entrepreneurship, agriculture, and of course you can visit the government website. I know of YEA, and I know they put jobs there. Yeah.
So that is what they should do.
Yeah, they should do.
Now, what protections exist for workers in hazardous industries?
We have the Labor Act. It protects workers' rights in general, whether it's hazardous or not. It protects workers' rights in general. But then specific ones, we have the Workmen's Compensation Act. We have the Domestic Workers Act. Look, when it comes to Ghana, we have the legal framework, but people don't know. And so these are the acts available for those in hazardous situations. You have the acts there, just that they don't know how to go about it. They don't know which institute. Labor Department is the institution that should enforce it, that should be enforcing these things. And so it's there. Labor Act covers every worker's rights, including employer.
Okay.
We have the Workmen's Compensation Act. We have the even domestic workers, they have their right, they have their legal framework, but they don't know that. So if you employ a domestic worker, there is an act that covers your employment relationship, but they don't know.
I see.
Yes. And we have all those legal frameworks in Ghana. But it always boils down to enforcement, of course.
Enforcement,
good enforcement mechanisms. Good enforcement
and
mechanisms.
you say policy makers are supposed to lead that charge?
Yes. Government. Help us. Even if you can't do it alone, liaise with the private sector. Liaise with them, train them, teach them. Why don't you give them tax incentives? Help them. You know what? When you comply with this, I'll reduce this incentive. I'll reduce this tax burden on you. It makes sense.
Right.
And so they'll want to do it, basically.
Now, another issue I'd want us to talk about, the issues are a lot. And
for labor, you cannot exhaust it.
Because there are overtime paid workers and all of these things. And we've not been able to talk about them. And if you want to go into
all these are unfair labor practices. And it's the National Labor Commission that handles that. And it's absolutely for free. I can't even overemphasize that. It is for free. Unless, of course, it goes into a certain level, then you have to think of paying some. But at the beginning, it's just for free.
It's just free.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Another very key issue is harassment and abuse. How does workplace harassment and abuse affect employees' rights?
It affects them 100%. I mean, why should I feel unsafe coming to work? Why? Why should I feel like I'm being harassed for doing what I'm supposed to do? Why? Of course, it comes with a lot of, you feel very uncomfortable. It even affects your mental health if you don't take care. Sorry. And so I feel like, and there are measures in place for that. That is all unfair labor practice. It all falls under unfair labor practice. You come to the National Labor Commission, on the form you take it.
Okay.
This is an unfair. Why should I come to work and feel harassed? People are not speaking because of job insecurity. They are scared when they speak, they'll lose their job. Meanwhile, you have to speak it. Now, I know the civil societies are doing their part. They are even championing that cause, but we can do better. It is not their fight alone. Neither is it my fight alone. We can all come together and do better. I'm talking about a social dialogue. Let's start talking about these things. Let's start making it aware. It is illegal to harass your workers. It is illegal. The government frowns on it. The law frowns on it. So why should you do it? But nobody's watching the policy user. And so, yeah.
Now, and I hear internships are supposed to be paid.
Who told you that? Where did you get that information from?
That is from my findings.
Now we have what we call paid internship
and unpaid
and
internships.
unpaid internship.
Okay.
And so if I want to pay you, it's just the organization's policy. Nobody forces you.
Okay.
Yeah. So for that, I mean, it depends on the organization. So we
Okay.
have paid and unpaid internships.
So what steps can we take to eliminate unpaid internships? Yeah, because Charlie, the young people see that Charlie, they get cars from their homes to their office, and at the end of the day, they don't get anything. All they told them is you've gotten an experience.
You see, look at it that way. I mean, look at it that way, that you're getting experience. I mean, we all did unpaid internship, and it is going to help us.
But it doesn't mean it should be.
It doesn't mean it should be. It should be. But there are no legal systems for stuff like this. All I would say is that it has to do with the organization itself. It is actually totally free for you to apply to work somewhere. I want to get the experience, and you want me to pay you. Think about you know what? I think we are not even being fair to the employer. Let's look at it that way. As a labor expert, I am in for everybody. I'm not only for employees. Don't get it wrong.
Okay.
Please, those listening, I am for everybody. I am for both the employees and the employer. Think about it this way on the employer. I am giving you experience. You want me to pay for it again? Think about you are the employer.
But those are the concerns people are raising. That aside the fact that you are giving me experience, I'm bringing some value on board. But if you go to some of these agencies, these young people who are there for internship, the internship is not really they being taught anything. It is just the fact that they get to put on their CV that from this period to this period I was here. But if you go, some of them are social media managers, and they handle the company's social media without anybody teaching them anything. So in as much as we are looking at it as an internship, it is only to give them the experience in the sense that I was here some. But they know the stuff already and they are doing them. They are practicing on the field. And because of that, I think that they may be rewarded. They should be rewarded.
I feel like if an organization is benefiting from you as an intern, then you have to be rewarded.
Exactly what
for
the
my
point
opinion.
is.
But there's no legal framework for that.
Do you think we need a legal
in the first place?
framework?
Yeah, for that.
Yeah.
I didn't force you to come and do internship with me. Think about it that way. You decided that you wanted to come and work for me. I said, okay, you want to work for me? I'm not going to pay you.
He didn't say he's coming to work. Oh, he's coming to an internship is a training.
Yes.
So if he doesn't have anybody that is training him, then you should be able to sort him something because you see the value he brings to the company.
Wait, that is why internship means I'm learning. The moment you define yourself as an intern, meaning you are humble enough to learn from someone. We don't care the experience you are bringing. You are learning. You are an intern.
Okay.
But the best the company can do is I can consider you and give you some allowance if I want to. But then you can't force them under the law that we should have some legal requirements for that. No, for that. I mean, let's just be fair here.
But you guys should consider.
Let's just be fair here.
I think you should consider.
I mean, when you talk about contracts, it is a different issue altogether. Right. For contract, yes, there are some legal reforms to cover you. But the internship, I can't say much about it. But contract, yes, 100. You shouldn't be on contract for more than 6 months. People don't know that. For more than 6 months, you shouldn't be on contract. After 6 months, if the company doesn't terminate your contract or renew it, automatically you're an employer. You're an employee. Yes.
Oh, but automatically.
Automatically. Even if the contract ends on this month and it's a day, it goes above, like beyond a day, and nobody gives you any letter, you are automatically an employee. But people don't know that.
I see.
And so if you have a good HR, immediately it is the 6th month they issue you a new contract, terminating the old one. But if they don't do all that, oh, you are an employee, but they don't know that.
I see.
I said, I've been on contracts for 10 years. Oh my goodness. Education is key. Education is key.
Well, 16 to top of the hour, and this is Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM with me, Nitrebi Hammond. I've been speaking to Nana Madina Ibrahim, who is a labor and employment law expert, and she's been helping us understand some of the things, opening our eyes to some of the things in our labor laws and all of that, things that many of us are not paying attention. But feel free to engage us, join the conversation on our WhatsApp on 0544321019, 0544321019, or at ZFMGH on Instagram, Facebook, and X. ZFMGH, Instagram, Facebook, and X, and also at Z Multimedia on YouTube. Z Multimedia on YouTube. Feel free to engage us in the conversation. Nana, Madina, let's talk. You know, I've not called you throughout the conversation.
Yeah.
But anyway, but let's talk about solutions. Do you think that we should introduce setting salary transparency laws?
Looking at the new information that is coming from the Ghana Statistical Service, I think there's a need for a salary structure, a new salary structure. There's even a need for a new salary law. I don't know if there's an old law on that, but I know that there's a need for a revamp in our salary structure, especially in the formal sector. Well, it used to be informal. It used to be we advocating for the informal sector, but all the sectors are suffering, obviously. So yes, there's a need. And I think the policymakers should do that. You should do that. Sit with you. I'll always advocate for a social dialogue.
All right.
If you don't understand what is happening, sit with employers, sit with employees, sit together. Let's have that dialogue. Let's have that conversation. We are struggling. I'm the one who goes to pay the trustee the money. I'm the one who goes to buy the fuel.
Right.
And so listen to my plight, or listen or experience from my side. Listen from the side of the employer. And then we can get somewhere.
Okay. Now, in your opinion, what are the top 3 things you think that Ghana must do to improve our labor conditions? I'm putting you on the spot.
Number 1, I'll always go for enforcement mechanisms.
Okay.
It's not that we don't have the legal framework. We do, but we don't know how to go about it. Enforcement mechanism. Number 2, liaise with the informal sector. Informal sector, they are struggling. Contract workers are struggling. They don't know what they're about. Liaise with them. Let them sit with them. Understand from their perspective. What are your struggles? What are you going through? Okay, so as the employer, I can do this for you. Listen to them. Have a dialogue. Communicate. And number 3, let's explore education, entrepreneurship, training, education, entrepreneurship all together. And then number 3, people are not educated enough. People do not know what their rights are. Let's talk about entrepreneurship as well. It's not only about working for someone. Have you thought about working for yourself too? Probably when you work for yourself, you can pay yourself better. And also training opportunities, train employers, train employees. Yes.
Right. Train yourselves and train your employees as well. Right. Now, what can businesses do to provide better wages and worker protections? Because we are a business radio station, and so a lot of business people listen to us. What can they do to provide better wages and worker protections?
Start from where you are. Pay workers the fair wage. Pay them well. Protect your workers under the Labor Act. Protect them. Ensure that they are safe. As a business owner, that is the least you can do for your workers. That's just the least. Make sure that you pay me equal pay for equal work. Ensure that I work under safe, satisfactory work conditions. Ensure that my rights are protected. Senate is being paid, my benefit is being paid, my severance pay, my health insurance is being provided for. These are the least things we ask for. In Ghana, when we talk about decent work, like I mentioned earlier, we are not asking for anything, just 3 things. Making sure that I'm economically stable, make sure that my right as a worker is protected, and make sure that my poverty level is reduced. And so as a business owner, it's simple, pay me well. Make sure that where I work is safe. And then my social protection is also ensured as a business owner. This is what workers are asking for. Yeah.
Right. So that is what.
That's what you should do as a business owner. And if you want my opinion on what government should do, of course, I will always say that I feel like the informal sector is struggling with implementing the labor laws. And so why don't we try and say, it's like a baby. You're trying to lure a baby to do something for you. What do? You bribe them with a toffee. So this is what we'll do. I'll give you tax incentive for doing what? Complying with labor laws. And also as a policy maker, make sure you strengthen sanctions. Our sanctions instruments or our sanctions rules are not strong at all. It's more like we give zero or no care to you violating any labor act. We should be able to sanction you. We should put in strict measures.
What are some of the sanctions that are in place?
Of course, when it comes to the labor act, we can rule against you. Being ruled against, or you losing a case at Labor Commission says that something is not right with your organization. Okay. And so, of course, secondly, too, we should make sure that our court systems are I've been well resourced to ensure that we're able to have enforcement policies in place. If I'm not happy with my ruling at the Labour Commission, I should be able to go to the, High Court or another higher jurisdiction to ensure that I get whatever I want. And so these are the things I'm asking for. It's something simple. It's just so simple. I'll keep saying that we have the laws, but the implementation is the problem. Implementation mechanism is the problem. Yeah.
So we should focus more on the
implementation mechanism.
What incentives can encourage, because I know business people are listening, they might want to do certain things for their employees. Now, what incentives can encourage employers to offer permanent contracts instead of casual work?
Instead of casual work. Now, for the employer, if they give you contracts, they benefit more.
How?
Okay. So if you're an employer and you're working for an organization, if you're on contract, I don't give you so many benefits. I don't give you I don't give you your SNIT. Perhaps but I'm supposed to pay your SNIT. But they will say because you're a worker, I don't pay your SNIT. Your contract staff don't pay your SNIT. You're not entitled for severance pay. You're not entitled for even maternity leave. You're not entitled for certain benefits if you're on contract. And so it is the employer benefits more. That is why most organizations put their workers on contract, because they tend to benefit more. The moment you become an employee, a full-time employee, we are talking about your SNIT payment. Your social security should be protected. Health insurance, they will pay for you. Leave maternity, you will go. Paid leave, you will go. So many benefits. So it's like you're taking more of my money the moment you become a worker. So they benefit more. If you're a contract worker, organizations benefit more from a contract worker than a full-time worker, because they feel like for a full-time worker they pay more. But unless, of course, I didn't get your question right. So what are you saying? What are the?
So the question I'm asking is that what exactly what incentives can be put in place so that it will help employers actually move away from getting people to do contracts? I mean, just casual work.
It's going to be hard on the part of the employer.
Yes, I mean,
they are benefits. They are cutting costs.
Exactly.
They are cutting
costs. We are cutting both sides. Everybody should take their own. So.
But I think that they should focus on value for money. You cannot take away experience. You cannot take away a long-serving member. You can't take that away from an employee. When I come to you and I work for you for a very long time, you are even benefiting more, but they don't know. If I work for you for a long time, you're even benefiting more. I know your company secret, so you can't just take me away. And also, because of my experience, you are even cutting costs. You don't get to. I've learned on the job so much. I've gained so much experience from the job that you don't even have to. Because the moment you terminate me, you have to bring a new person and train the person again. The cost of training is very high. But I've been with you, I'm working with you, I'm learning on the job. So there's no need for training. You only, perhaps it's refresher courses, but starting me afresh, you don't need to do that. And so you are saving on that cost. So I will urge employers to concentrate more on employing people for long term than contracts. Do you know what contract means? You'll be losing workers. Because I can't be on contracts for every time or for a very long time. I will go. You will bring another person. You will keep bringing new people. Bringing them means you are training them afresh again. Cost of training is very high, but they don't know. And so I will urge them. We really do not have any laws that determines or tells the employer who you should employ as a contract worker or as a full-time worker. No. But then I think that it is in your benefit as an employer to concentrate on employing people for longer term than contracts.
Than casual.
Than casual. Don't do that.
All right. Now, I know we're trying to wrap up, but other things are coming to mind. And I want to know, what role does CSR? I know CSR also plays a role in achieving decent work. Yes. What role does it play?
The moment you talk about corporate social responsibility, it benefits the organization as a whole. We've spoken that decent work and it's equal to social justice, ensuring that there's fairness at work, ensuring that there is equal opportunity at work, ensuring that workers' workers' rights are protected. But the CSR, you are not only ensuring internally, you are taking it outside. I don't know if you understand. So the same social justice you have, the decent work you have, you are taking it outside. which is even better because you're not only thinking of your internal people internally, you're thinking about the outside people as well, which is, and I think organizations should be exploiting that area. What most people do, but I think we can do better. If you talk about CSR, you talk about economic stability, you talk about the country as a whole benefit. You can't keep earning from just the customers or your outside customers and leaving them just like that. Everybody needs to be, it's like a holistic approach. Everybody needs to benefit from it. Social justice shouldn't only be limited to work. I always say this, wherever you find yourself, you should stand on social justice. You should ensure that it prevails wherever you find yourself. And so yes, CSR goes a long way to help not only the organization, but the community as a whole and the country at large. Yeah.
Right. It's been a very great conversation. It's been very eye-opening. Well, personally for me, I've gotten to know certain things that I didn't know. And I'm very glad that you came. Any final thoughts on how Ghana can ensure decent work for all?
Social dialogue, holistic approach, tripartite communication. I mentioned policymakers. They can't do it alone. I mentioned employees. Employees can definitely not do it alone. Employers too can't do it alone. Why don't we come together? Social dialogue. Why don't we come together? Let's have a positive outlook to these situations. We should have a meeting, speak about your concerns, come at a consensus. Like I always say, when it comes to labor department, when it comes to labor issues, it's a win-win situation. We don't have winner and loser, no. Come at a consensus.
Right.
Bring reforms that will help not only the policymaker, not only the employer, not only the employee, but everybody. So social dialogue. I will always advocate for social dialogue. Yeah.
Right. So social dialogue is for you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's wrap up. Let's wrap up this way. Today is World Social Justice Day. What is your message?
Social justice shouldn't be limited to only the workplace. I think that as an individual, wherever you find yourself, you should advocate for equal opportunities everywhere you find yourself. You should advocate for equal rights everywhere you find yourself. Inequality is not the way to go. Advocate for fairness wherever you find yourself, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of color, regardless of trades, regardless of anything. Stand for fairness, devoid of biases. And so let's go out there, let's be ourselves, and let's stand for justice.
Let's stand for justice. Thank you very much.
Welcome me.
Nana Madina Ibrahim.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, do you have any shout outs to give, or you may want to put your social media?
Shout out to everybody listening. Of course, to my boss, Dr. Bernice Welbeck. I am late to work. Please forgive me before I get there. That's all I'll say. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much for coming. We are very glad that you came and helping us understand certain things in labor law. We're grateful.
Yeah.
Okay. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Right. That's how we wrap up today's conversation here on the Business Breakfast on Z. We've had a very important conversation because